Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dave Kittle Show. This is Dave Kittle, physical therapist and the owner of Concierge Pain Relief Home Physical Therapy here in New York City, and as well as the Fieldmaker Group, where we are acquiring outpatient physical therapy practices in the New York and New Jersey area. Today we have on one of our colleagues, Andy Zapata. He is a occupational therapist. I almost said physical therapist, occupational therapist, and the CEO of Physical Therapy Now. And I've been following his progress on what he's doing. He's based out of Miami, Florida, I believe. And he has a large and growing company, Physical Therapy Now. And we were messaging recently. I wanted to get him on the show, I wanted to hear more about his story, to be honest, and get it out there for folks. And then Andy mentioned that he's been a part of 125 healthcare or physical therapy transactions. So we're going to hear all about that today. Before we get into that, Andy, welcome on the show, and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Dave, what an honor to be on your show. I'm super excited to be on your show and hopefully drop some knowledge to your listeners and help them scale, help them grow, help them get out of the weeds, that day-to-day weeds that we get stuck on every single day. And I've been able to get out of them, and there's not a lot of people that teach us, physicians and doctors and physical therapists, occupational therapists, how to get out of the weeds. But there's a lot of help out there now, and we are in the best time of world history on data and access to data and access to systems, and people like you and me that now we have Zoom. We didn't have this a few years ago, where people can just record simple conversations like this to help the masses. So I'm just excited for the time that we're living on. I'm excited for the industry that I'm playing a part in, the physical therapy and healthcare space, and just excited to be here with you on this beautiful Monday.
Awesome. So let's go back to your origin of engaging in healthcare and physical therapy transactions. So you're an OT, a licensed OT by trade. What was the original, what was the first deal, or the first, the impetus as to go from a licensed therapist to engaging in some type of transaction, if you could take us back to that?
Yeah, it started back in 2004. And I always knew that I loved the business of healthcare more than being a practitioner. And I said, I'm going to get my degree in occupational therapist. I love helping people. And OT and PT is just that space where you can help and get that instant gratification for helping people from, suffering from stroke and heart attacks and all these different injuries. And so I started with that passion to really help people. And in 2004, when I opened up my first practice, I ran into every single into every single challenge that you can possibly run into, from building rapport with doctors, to getting referrals, to getting my first license, to getting my, navigating through the challenges of healthcare and, the scope of evaluations and getting them signed by the physicians. All this was super new to me, and it was wow, this was hard. And then I started getting some mentors and people that would drop in little hints oh, you gotta get your POC signed, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you got a cap on Medicare back then, and you got KX modifiers and all these different crazy things. And I was wow, this is a lot to navigate. And I had people just dropping little bits and pieces, but nobody was really sitting me down and saying, hold on a second, take a step back. Let's restructure. Let me give you all the systems to navigate your practice. And I probably had 30 different people helping me, but nobody would give me the formula. In my area, imagine the people that could give me the formula were my own competitors. And so they're nice, they're helpful, they're beautiful, but they're not going to give me the entire recipe, right, to the cake. They're just going to give me little bits to kind of not feel bad about themselves, right? So this is what I say. It's super important, because you're going to rely on your colleagues to give you the formula, but nobody's really going to be, very few people are going to be 100% transparent as to how to run a formula, unless they're paying you, unless you're paying them to give you the formula. And this is the first challenge that I encountered, was the access to really learn how to grow a business. And so 2 or 3 years down the line, we had a few practices. I thought I had figured out the system. I had 3 beautiful practices bringing in hundreds of new patients a month. I figured out a few doctors that I really related to, and they related to my treatment and my operation. By this time, I had already hired physical therapists, so I wasn't doing the physical therapy. I was running the business. And then I started helping other people open up their practice. I would get hired by other physical therapists or business owners and say, hey, you have 3 practices. Can you help me? And I was probably like 25, 26, 27. And I was, yeah, absolutely. Give me $20,000. I'll show you everything. And
that's like a consultant role.
I was consulting people, and can you help me open my practice? Sure. I just went through the whole challenge myself, and I started consulting people on how to open up their business. And I was charging $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. And
what was the name of the practice? Was it physical therapy now back then, or a different?
No, we had all types of names. We had a company called Rehabilitative Facility. We had another one called International Therapy. We had another one called Worldwide Rehabilitation. So we had different practices back then. And I remember when people were flipping homes. I don't know if you remember that time where they were buying homes and flipping them for cash out. Everybody in South Florida was doing it. I was like, I don't understand that much about real estate, but I might be able to do that with clinics. And because people were coming like, can you help me open? And I had a line of people. So what I decided to do is like, you know what? There's a high demand for this. I was probably 26, 27. I started building them and having almost like shell companies where I would build them, I would dress them, I'd put all the equipment, I'd get all the licenses, I'd get all the credentialing in place with Blue Cross, Cigna, Advent, Humana, Aetna, AvMed, and I would sell them. And I'll put them up for auction, $150,000 starting out. No patients, no systems, just the organization, just the shell, the physical therapy company, the stock. And people were coming and buying that stock. And I must have sold like 30 or 40 of those between 2006 and 2010. It was like one after the other. I had 3 in the pipe at all time. I had 3 in the pipe. And then they put a moratorium down here in South Florida for physical therapy centers, or Florida for physical therapy centers. We couldn't open them anymore because there was so many. So my business had to slow down. So we did I sold a lot of physical therapy centers. And then in 2010, when the moratorium came in place, I kind of slowed down and I started building from the 3 centers that I had. I scaled to the 5. And then 2015 came around and I was completely satisfied, Dave. I had everything I ever wanted, had all the toys, beautiful wife, kids, the house. I was like in that search for like, what's next, right? I got bored. I mean, everything was in cruise control. And then I said, what is it that I'm really passionate about, and what do I know how to do? And I remember spending 2 months of my life just brainstorming, like, what's my next journey? What do I want to do? How can I help more people? How can I spread the word, right? And I said, let's do a licensing deal. I can help people. I already know how to open physical therapy centers. I already know how to help. I already know how to grow. And then the licensing, everybody shot it down. Don't do licensing. It's challenging to get licensing out there. And I decided to do a franchise. So I spent the whole year learning about franchising. What does it take? How do you do it? And then 2016 came around. We launched the franchise. And then from there, we did the same thing. And I was like, same thing I've been doing for the last 10 years, building physical therapy centers, getting them credentialed, getting them access, except that now everybody was operating under one name. And, I get to maintain the relationship for 10 years and help people navigate through the challenges of healthcare and physical therapy. And that's how I started the Physical Therapy Now franchise.
I think that's a perfect place to pause for a nice cliffhanger for part 1. We'll have Andy Zapata back for part 2. Stick around. Go ahead and rate and review. Follow us. Subscribe on YouTube. Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.